So how many boats came over then from England? Hundreds, thousands?
We probably about 50 power.
And they were just...
50,000, that's right, 50,000, that's right.
And they were just like ordinary citizens, a lot of them, or just ordinary people? They weren't all military boats or anything?
Oh, the boats? Oh, no. I mean, this... no, it was great. The Navy, the merchant Navy, and normal cities. They got a yacht or a motorboat, and they were all called into Ramsgate and Margate and probably Calais, and they all went on, set off to the beaches and took us home.
And they were being bombed too, I suppose.
Oh yes, indeed. I saw at least 3 ships, I'm talking about ships now, bombed at, see, I was about maybe a mile, half a mile from Dunkirk. We were on Bray Dunes, on the sands there, on the dunes. That's where we could be able to get down. And I fired at the not Spitfire, the
Messerschmitt?
no, yeah, indeed. And I'd seen bombs starting from there, right over my head. But I can just transgress. In due course, we went. First of all, we went to Ramsgate. Then the next thing, the guards were on the leader before I was. So, and we were a shambles. There was a sergeant major there with the guards, and brought them onto the. They were even cleaning their shoes. That sort of thing. I told you, I pinched somebody else's rifle, and they were following you all the guards, that sort of thing, and they were marched off. I went off from Ramsgate. The next thing I knew, we were in Reading, and the Sally Army brought us some tea cakes and tea, that sort of thing. Then the next thing I knew was that I went to just the other side of Sheffield, and then I was billeted there for a while, and then from there, after shall we say 6 months to a year, I was down in Devon, and I was a sergeant by this time, and I was billeted with an old lady of about 40, that sort of thing. She was old to me, that sort of thing. And I was writing, it was Sunday afternoon, lovely day, and this is the only time that I've been really sick. I was writing home, Sunday afternoon, so quiet, and the radio must have been on to a certain extent. Yes, it must have been on whilst I was probably listening to a tune, that sort of thing. Then subconsciously, I heard a plane going over, and then all of a sudden there's that I was waiting for, but I knew this was mine. I'd seen them, and no worries really, but I knew this has got the tone dead on. And I stood up, tensed every muscle that I had, and all and all it was, a plane was going over, and it had affected, it was giving, what do we call this? It's a word on the radio when it's making a funny noise. So it's like, anyway, it was a hissing.
Right, I know what you mean.
And it had affected the radio, and it just went over. But that, then, yes,
And it flashed back to...
Always. Well, yes, I knew, as I said, I'd seen them drop. I knew, and I knew what the noise was, etc. And of course, it was dead over me. So it's making the.
And how old were you this time?
22. And in due course.
So you were 21, or you were on Dunkirk at 20?
I was 22 on the 10th of April, and a month later exactly, we went into Dunkirk. I was 22 and a month.
How long did it take you to become a captain?
I became a captain in 5 months and a fortnight. Again, there's another thing that I've never come across.
After becoming an officer?
Oh yeah, when I was a sultan, one pip. Theoretically, I never had 2 pips because I jumped a rank altogether. And then due course, D-Day, I was D+3 when we landed. I had a major, and I was supply officer, and he was there were 5 majors on this ship that was going to for D-Day, and he passed the ball to me to be OC ship, because he was the major, the senior major. So OC ship meant that I had to dress the, no, that's not the word, put them through the methods of getting off the ship if we were bombed, etc. But I slept with the, it's the same room, the second, with the mate of the ship. And my job was to drill the men whilst we were going over. And had we been hit, I should have been the last of the troops before to leave. Fortunately, we weren't, we weren't mined or whatever. And there I went over and Visionaire. That's right, and I drove, I told you the other day that I drove a lorry through the waves. And
this is D-Day?
yeah, D+G. Then on one occasion down in near Palais, we were, this was the first time that the only time I think I was alongside the Yanks, and I was with Alec Merchant, my batman, and we could hear bombing. Oh, I said, all right, there'll be ours, but of course. I said, well, what's that then? And they were doing a rolling barrage.
Was it ours?
No, it's the Hellsbuggers. And they were moving up, shall we say, about 50 yards each time. And we could see the ruddy land going, you know. So we got up, and these, my lads, I said, we had some discipline. Right, down into your trenches. And to the, there was a captain, an American officer, in charge of these fellows, and I said, get down, you silly buggers. And I was there to tackle them. They didn't, so I said, right, up you, and jumped into a hole, and then, they passed over. Fortunately, they didn't drop it on the trench.
What were they doing, the Americans?
God knows. We were, well, we were all waiting to get through.
No, I mean, what happened? What were they doing? What were they doing while the bombs were coming?
Oh, running.
Oh.
That's all.
Did they get hit?
They didn't make any bloody. They didn't take any notice of their captain at all.
Did they get hit?
I don't know. I don't know.
So after the war, you were still in Germany, right? After.
Yes, we went to Belgium. We went to where's the electric place in Holland. that I mentioned, he wouldn't go across the bridge. He got two fellows to row him across.
Why?
Because he didn't want to be hit by see the
I thought
Germans.
the war was over.
Oh no, this is there's still war, and it was Arnhem time.
Oh, okay.
And they'd still got the range and the position where the bridge was, Nijmegen Bridge, and Major Talon, something like that. He was rowed across, and on one occasion he fell off the boat and knocked his teeth out and broke his wrist. I was one evening, yes, I was going across. I was recce officer and liaison between the Third AGRA, Third Army Group Royal Artillery, RASC, and I had a driver with me. I was in a jeep type of vehicle, and I was in the second driver's position, and we were going this road to go down there and up and turn right and get across the bloody bridge as fast as we could. And we stalled, fortunately, because a shell stopped, and I must have been probably only about a foot over the road level, and I was shattered, or not shattered really, wounded, and only slightly. That if he hadn't stalled, that would have taken me nut off, you know, that sort of thing.
Did you get anything for that?
Mentioned